Hello and welcome back to a Slice of Dice and a Spice movie reviews. Today we are going to be talking about the movie Aftermath. I watched it and we're going to be deciding today, did it make me put my phone down? And is it worthy of a slice, a dice, or a spice, or all three reviews? That is it, and let's go ahead and get on into it. Desperate to save their marriage, a young couple takes a deal and moves into their dream home. But disturbing events reveal the house's troubled history. Okay, y'all, full transparency on this movie, and you'll get why I'm saying this first. I started watching this early morning. That is like my time where I work on like my notes for videos and things like that. So I put this on and I started working on my computer in this. And so I'm doing that. So it's like almost a background movie, but it has my attention enough to where I'm like, well, what's going on here? So there's that. Now, at a certain point, everyone got up in the house and I was like, ugh, I gotta pause it. And the rest of the day I was like, I'm ready. I want to see what happens. Like, you know, what's next? So that being said, I'm just letting y'all know that because I know my thing is, did it make me put my phone down? But here's the thing. We're going to go ahead and say the fact that it made me want to come back to it, it has it going for it. But there's other factors at play that I was like, I don't know about this one. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Now, y'all, before we even get into it, though, before we go forward, I'm not going to reveal major plot points, major twists, anything like that. But if you do want to go into this totally fresh, you have no idea what's going to happen, you're like, what's Aftermath? What is this about? Then let this be a forewarning that we are entering spoiler alert nation. And even with that being said, there still will be enough mystery left to this. If you do want to continue listening, that there will be enough mystery left for you. So don't feel bad. You can keep watching if you want. Okay, so as the tagline of the movie says, there is a couple, they're having marital issues, and they decide to basically get this house through hook or crook. It does have a little bit of a path to it, and they do this as like almost like a fresh start. Let's do something new, yada yada yada. Now, there are so many layers to the marital issues that they're having that will play a central role in the film, but nonetheless, of course, this is almost like standard, you know, movie fare of, oh, troubled couple, you know, what happened to their marriage, that type thing. It does keep you going to be like, well, you know, what is it? So now, once they do get into this home, you know, their dream home, weird stuff starts happening, okay? Honestly, if you watch my review on Held, it had that vibe, okay? Where you're like, what's going on? Honestly, even now thinking about it, I'm like, it's almost like a different version of Held. But weird stuff starts happening, and you're not really sure what direction it's going to go in because, again, it's one of those surreal things where you're like, but that seems so real life. That doesn't seem like a ghost, but that seems like a ghost, but that seems like a stalker. All this stuff is going on. Now, what that does is it keeps this, what is it? You know, this prevailing question that you're hoping the movie will lead you up to, like, what is the issue? Now, of course, all this weird stuff going on an already troubled marriage, you already know the deal, it causes even more trouble with their marriage. And so that is like a backstory to this whole thing going on. So that part's good. Now, I'm going to say this. By the time you get to the end, and do not worry, I'm not going to tell you what's going to happen, by the time you get to the end to get the question answered of like, oh, what was this? This, for me, I was like this. I was like, oh, okay. Was I shocked? No. Was I surprised? A little bit. It wasn't anything that you didn't already see coming, but in the package that they wrapped it up in and served it to you, you're like, okay, got it. I can finish my day now. So there's that. Now, what this film does do well is this. The film offers you an extremely layered story, okay? There is like so much going on here that you're just like, wait, okay, hold on. They're doing this over here, they're doing that over there, they're doing that over there. So it makes it interesting because honestly, without that, this would probably be like a total snoozer. Now again, this whole thing of like, you know, what is causing this weird stuff to happen? That whole central thing going on with the movie, you know, yeah, they use some cheap shots that I consider, like, once you know what happens and you look back, you're like, well, wait a minute, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, how was that possible to do this if it was really that and that type thing? But again, nonetheless, everything has a story to it in this movie. So even though I consider this plot line, this whole narrative, whatever you want to call it, to be almost like common, if you will, it ain't nothing we ain't seen before. It just might be packaged a little bit differently type thing. they do well, and just, again, adding a bunch of layers to the story to where it keeps you guessing. But again, it's a slight letdown once you get to the end of it. As far as the acting performances go, they were fine. You know, it was nothing that, nobody's getting an Emmy. Okay, that ain't happening. So, but it was fine. And especially for the genre, I was like, okay, you know, some of the performances were a little better than others. If the acting had been completely horrible throughout, I would have been like, yeah, we're gonna have to turn this off. So here's the main takeaway. The movie takes so long to get to the point of it that you're kind of like, oh my God. I will say, if I wasn't working on my computer watching this in the first part of the morning, I would not have made it through. I would have turned it off, because I would have been like, okay, this is taking way too long. Like, when I was the first bout of working that I did, which, y'all, I mean, it was a hot minute. By the time I had to turn it off, I was just like, I have no idea, like, when's the story gonna start? I mean, some little things have happened, but I was just like, okay, they literally save the most intense parts for, like, the last 15 minutes, okay? So that's where I was just like, really? But again, this was like background noise for me, and for that, I paid a lot of attention to it. So yeah, we can already answer the question. Did it make me put my phone down? No, absolutely not. I went as far as to use the damn computer. Now, secondly, does it get a slice, a spice, or a dice? Y'all, I'm just gonna give this a slice, okay? And what that means for me is I get the slice thing from the Golden Girls gathering around to talk. You're gonna want to have your little, you know, your little cheesecake, your little Golden Girls around with you, talking while the film goes on in the background. You don't want to get your pumpkin spice latte and get all cozy, because you're gonna kind of be distracted with other things, and there ain't no real dicing going on in here. So there's that. Also, I don't want to say there's plot holes, but there's plot holes. There's things, and I don't want to say what they are here, but once you look back over it, once you know what happens, you're also like, really? So they just, like, scooted past this or that. Like, didn't question that, but they questioned this. Kind of a thing. Like, there are some parts that are just like, is anybody checking on this person over here? Are we concerned about this? So there's that. So again, this is background noise. This is literally a background noise movie, okay? You ain't missing nothing if you don't watch it. Is it worth a watch? Sure. If you're bored and you don't want to, you know, you want to work in front of the TV and not, you know, have something you're going to wish you had paid attention to. Sure. You know, absolutely go for it. So that's it on this movie review. Unfortunately, I just can't go all out over it. But yeah, it's making its way because it does have a good premise. So that's why I'm like, wow, it's interesting, some of these movies that like really get in that top 10 list on Netflix, but you watch it and you're like, okay. Anyways, I appreciate you watching. If you want to hear me dish on true crime updates or true crime stories, be sure to check out my other channel, Report Live from a Sofa. Now that's it. Thank you again for watching, and until my next movie binge, I'll see you then.